Hello and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be showing you a Halloween themed sketch paint page, painted sketch page, and I hope you stick around for this super valuable Halloween based information, painting information. This is my Masterton Stay Wet paint palette. I don't know if it's the best one ever. It's just the one I got. This is the sponge. You just wet it, put it at the bottom. You kind of squish out some of the water so it's not like soaking wet. And then you wet the palette paper to put on top, and I like to dab off the excess water just to make sure it's the perfect dampness for my paints and the way that I like to use them. That's kind of your own, everybody to each their own. Okay, so now I'm ready to go. So I like to put a little towel down, do my setup, make everything nice. I like it to be nice and clean for me to start. I'm using black paper from Fabriano. I don't, again, know if this is like super good paper or not. It's just the black paper that I had on hand. I guess it works well. It seems to have a bit of a coating on it, so sometimes it's hard to use the paint. It doesn't act like watercolor paper, but it definitely works well, and yeah, I like it. I can recommend it. This is the palette that I'm using, kind of just going for nice fall colors with a little pop of some neon colors here and there. That was my idea. I was just kind of going loosey-goose with it because I don't really care. I just wanted to have fun drawing some Halloween themed stuff. I'm just jazzed about it being October. Gonna watch some scary movies, gonna just live my best fall life, and I hope that it gets nice and cool, a little cooler weather soon because I'm not a hot weather girl, okay? So this is a little tree stump demon that I made, and I'm doing the first layer of paint here, which ended up being a bit too light. I always get tricked by the black paper because it always feels, I don't know, when I mix the colors, I just have a hard time remembering that it's going on black paper and you need to make it a lot darker than you think, but that's okay because it was still a good primer layer kind of thing before I put on the actual layer, and I had it was a good way to get out my ideas at first and do like a practice run. So that's, and in reality, I was actually getting kind of frustrated, but that's how we're going to sell it today. So my whole idea of this guy was that it's a little demon that possesses the tree stump, and the tree stump walks around like kind of like a spider, like creepy crawly. So it's no longer lodged into the ground. The demon has uprooted it and it walks around. And that's about as far as I got with that. And oh yeah, I'm just doing these mushrooms in red. I didn't really care that much about the color because I just needed to show where they were so that when I paint over them for the next layer, I don't completely lose them. As long as it was just a dark enough color to see the sketch underneath, that's all I needed just to remember where they were. So again, just like kind of doing like a practice layer, I guess, is what ended up happening. To be perfectly honest with you, not completely on purpose. I just, it ended up being a practice layer because I hated it so much and I hated where I was going with it. But that's the great thing about paint, is that you can just paint over it. Because surprisingly, I got to this poo colored layer and it actually ended up being a lot better, because that's really not much of what you see. And what I forgot about was that you're supposed to do it dark first for the technique that I was trying to go for. Yeah, I'll just spare you this because it was basically the same thing I had just done, except for different colors and a bit of a higher contrast kind of thing. And I started to use my brush to make a more blended look, and that was what made me go, oh, okay, I actually like this now, which made me get a little bit of a new zest for life and try a little harder, so I became happy again. And that's just how art goes sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you just have to keep trying until you do something that you like, and then you finally are out of the warm-up stage and into the making something cool stage, or at least something that you enjoy stage. So then I just use my tiny flat brush to outline the shadows of where the bark is, just to give it some more kind of 3D look. And I know what you might be thinking, this demon is looking kind of cute. Is it maybe a good demon? Is there some sort of redemption arc we might be seeing? I don't think so. I think this is a pretty evil demon. I want it to be creepy and crawly, and maybe like little vines come out from the back to attack you, and then they snap at your feet. And even if it looks cute, I mean, I'm not going to say that this demon was the one that ripped the tree and caused it to become a stump in the first place, but I'm not saying that's not what happened. Okay, maybe there's little devil bugs that live in the top and they're like so creepy and we've never even seen anything like it before. We can't even imagine it. And they live in there. We haven't even seen them yet. That's like the laziest way of storytelling, just being like, basically, you imagine that. I'm not going to draw it. They're in there though. Sorry, I'm having like a really hard day of talking in general. So I hope that you still like this, and I hope it's coming off well because I worked really, really hard on this painting. I actually really, really like how it turned out, but I'm having such difficulty talking this whole week. I don't know what's wrong with me. So yeah, I did these little shadows and I tried to make them look a little bit bumpy because the shadow is being cast onto the bark that is very bumpy. So I was sort of trying to make them not so straight, if that makes sense. And in my own way, I was trying to just add a bit of darkness around where the shadows are outlined. So just to make a more realistic version of what I normally do. I know that's probably going to be hard to understand, but I just wanted to make like a dark sort of line around the area where the shadows sort of started to make it look kind of cool, or what I thought was kind of cool. And then what I did in the background area, like where the devil lives, and then in the roots that are in the background, I did this grayish greenish kind of color, and it was really hard to blend. I really, really love how that looks. And then I just, to keep it everywhere, I like to make sure it's not just in one place. I kind of put it as the reflected light part in some other spots. And I made the eyes of the demon to be the same color as the mushrooms that are growing on it. And then I did a little bit of a neon sort of greenish blue just to make it creepy and like there's a creepy light shining on it. Do you know what is the biggest inspiration actually ever is 80s animatronics that they used for not even just horror movies, like any movies. Like, have you looked at Gremlins? It's literally incredible, like that they made stuff like that. And just like this, the way they did the scenes and the way they lit everything and the way that I definitely take a lot of inspiration from that. I really, really like looking at those movies. They bring me a lot of joy, not just Gremlins, like anything. Like if you think about E.T. or sometimes I just like to think on them, you know? Sorry, there goes my little brain. Tiny, smooth little brain, smooth as an egg this week. So now I'm going to be, that was the stump demon. We'll come back to it. This is going to be a little jack-o'-lantern, and I must have redrawn this thing quite a few times. I did a small sketch in my sketchbook, couldn't let it go, had to do a painting of it. And I had a real hard time bringing that into fruition as a fully rendered out drawing because I didn't really think too hard on it when I was doing a little sketch. But once I did it, I was like, okay, good. And then I got worried as I was doing this stage because I was like, I actually don't know how to do any of what I'm doing. This is the first time I'm trying to make the pumpkin be bent in a certain way to cause this facial expression. I definitely wanted it to be a more creepy themed page. So I had to get this facial expression right, and I was pretty nervous about it. So I kind of dick around for quite some time, just kind of getting the shading right on the actual pumpkin part. And I avoided doing the face for a while. And I was like, ew, how do I do these, like the cutouts where the eye part is? So I changed it up a little bit. You'll see that, but it's no big deal. We get there in the end. And what I would like you to take from it is the final result. But I just like to sometimes put in the parts where I'm like failing as well, so that you know how long it took me to get somewhere, so that you can really have an appreciation for my work. No, it's just to show you that like it's not just coming out easy like that. It's actually it's okay for things to take quite a few tries when you do them. It's not a problem, and it happens to everybody. I'm not saying I'm the best in the world. I'm just saying that it happens to everybody. And also knowing what I did wrong, maybe when you try something like this, then you won't do that step wrong and you'll get less frustrated than I did when I did it. That's the hope anyways. So with orange and yellow, they're pretty transparent colors. And when you paint them on black paper, even if it's even if it's acrylic gouache or gouache, it's still pretty transparent color. So you do have to do a couple layers and you got to be patient with it. That's something I learned doing my other pumpkin page. It can be a little bit tedious because you kind of want to get the stuff, just on there. Like that's kind of an extra step. That's not super fun. Just layering just for the sake of getting the color down. But it does offer an opportunity for if you mess up, you can just keep going. So I guess that's all right. And I really like how I did the mouth here as well, kind of curling in. The Halloween movie that I cannot wait to watch, which I was just recently reminded of, is Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. Never hear anybody talk about this movie. And I'm like, I watched it for the first time and I was like, this movie's brilliant. I absolutely love it. Why does nobody ever talk about it? And then I just watched the Meat Canyon episode with Wendigoon, the one that just came out today, of course. And they were talking about this is their number one pick. And I was like, yes, finally. I felt very validated. Shout out if you watch those guys too. I like watching Creepcast. I think it's really fun. I always have laugh. And that's whenever I say I'm watching a podcast in the back, that's the one I'm watching most 85% of the time. That's the one I'm listening to. I just find it really entertaining and kind of wholesome too. Plus they're not listening to true crime. They're just listening to nice made up stories that aren't real, So it's kind of it's fun. Anyways, so just this pumpkin reminded me of Season of the Witch because of the masks and stuff. It kind of reminds me of a mask. And I'm really proud of how I was able to get the bending in and how when pumpkins get old and they kind of go in on the edges when they're jack-o'-lanterns, that's what I was kind of trying to do, was make it go in. Not necessarily that it's rotting, but just kind of bend the edges of stuff and make it look like it's really making a intense facial expression and have it really black inside the eyes with the really white, glowing kind of look on the edges of the inside where it's the cut is. Oh my God, I hope this is making sense. I kind of feel like I'm rambling on here, but I hope that you get what I'm saying because like I said, I'm pretty jazzed about how it came out and I think it really pops on the black paper is what I'm trying to get at. So I liked the greenish yellow color that I used right here. And I did decide to put some knobbly pieces in there because I just can't seem to do a pumpkin and not put those little lumps that pumpkins have because I just find it such a fun touch rather than just making it a smooth normal pumpkin. It's just a little boring looking to me and I'd like to add a little something more, a little more interest. So that's why I always add those. I'm going to be honest with you, I went a little overboard with the stem. I got real jazzed on doing stems. I still think it looks good. I stand by it, but I'm just saying that it is I've never seen quite a stem like this on an actual pumpkin. It kind of looks like it has curly hair or something. But I just went from doing my last pumpkin video. I had a lot of fun doing those stems. So I was like, I'm going to make it as curly as I possibly can because I just can't wait to do that again. Also, I just bought the color sepia, which is an even darker brown color than my darkest brown that I previously had. So I think that's going to be very useful to me in my next time that I paint, which will probably be tomorrow or something. I don't know. But yeah. And I'm working on a video that's an ink video where I'm doing it real time and I'm talking. And I just kind of almost finished filming it today. And I just want you to know that it's was an absolute nightmare. I don't even know. I hope it's okay, but I'm going to show it to you guys as just a bonus for the use of me becoming more comfortable talking. And I'm trying to make it so that I get less shy or withholding myself from saying what I want to say. Not that I'm saying bad things, but I just I'm always correcting myself and trying to get the most perfect words out. And I'm trying to be less perfectionist about making certain things. Some things it's okay, like a fully finished drawing, but sometimes just chill. You don't need to make everything look exactly perfect, every single line, because it's kind of stressing me out and I need to calm down. So it's an exercise in just being less stressed in general. So putting that out there is going to help me. And so that's why I wanted to do it. So that's what I filmed today. I'm probably going to put it out sometime next week or so on top of an actual regular video that I try hard on. And hopefully you guys like it. It's going to be long. I'm going to warn you about it. And if you don't like it, please don't tell me because I just can't handle it. It was actually really stressful to make. Like I said, I'm struggling voiceover wise and talking wise. So I don't know what that is. If it's maybe something wrong with my brain where I just can't think of words, please don't tell me if there's something wrong with my brain either. To do these little ghosts, I did a very light wash of water. I had to change my water because they were not looking the whitest, and I want them to be like an off-white color, but not that much. They were getting a little muddy. So I really watered down a white and just added it, kept kind of slowly layering and tried to make them look as ghosty as possible. Acrylic gouache, it's tough to do that with, especially on black paper, but I think they still came out pretty cool, actually. I like them. And I just did some little sparkles as well, just to kind of fill the space. It's just a fun sketch page. I just wanted to practice some paintings and have a nice fall time. So this is what it ends up looking like. Oh yeah, and of course, naturally I had to sign it. I'll tell you what, I liked it so much at the end that I kind of wanted to hang it up somewhere. I probably will end up doing that. Maybe I'll sell it. Do you want to buy it? So here are the close-up shots. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you got something out of it, and I'll see you next week. Bye!